Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review. I'm here today to talk to you about Stargirl Season 3, Episode 13, Reckoning, the series finale. So, I just rewatched the series finale because, like I said in my other video, the farewell one, I just wanted to get my bearings on some things that I missed. And so I kind of assumed that those things did happen. So all in all, this was a pretty decent finale. I say decent only because season 1 and season 2 finale episodes were way better. However, this did tie up a few loose ends, not all completely, and I do feel it was a bit rushed. Also, there were many members of the JSA that was, well, they've been slacking this season. Like, okay, if you've been upset that Beth, Yolanda, and Rick haven't had much to do this season, well, they don't have much to do in the finale as well, especially in the huge fight scene. I was very disappointed in this final battle. It wasn't completely terrible. There were a lot of good moments, mainly with Pat and mainly with Sylvester. But other than that, everybody else barely did anything in that junkyard fight. And I'm very shocked at the lack of action. Maybe there was lack of action because the stuff between Pat and the stuff between Sylvester had to take up a lot of CGI. And, and it was good CGI too. But, I just feel bad for the rest of the cast. Even Courtney barely did anything in the final battle. And it was just kind of like, what is this? Like, maybe y'all should have made this a two-parter or something like that. And so I will get into the details of why I feel is lackluster, the battle and stuff. But there were a lot of loose ends, tightly, what's that phrase? Tied in a nice bow and everything for everybody to have their own happy ending. Now, the very, very end, I'd rather have seen that than heard about it. And the way they did it is kind of like, okay, that's nice, but it's clearly shown that they ran out of time and ran out of money. Maybe that was the alternate ending. I'm starting to think maybe the whole brain swap thing was in play from the beginning. And this very, very, very end of the episode probably was the alternate ending. However, there's still some fogginess I have about the whole Sylvester thing, especially when you do like the math and like how he was able to, well, the Ultra-Humanite was able to use the staff so well. And so, like, I have a lot of mixed feelings about this finale and everything. And not only do I have mixed feelings, but this finale reminded me of finales of other TV shows. And if I can call The Rock out for copying and pasting other like superhero movies into his, I gotta do the same for Stargirl finale. There was a lot of copying and pasting from other like series finales and stuff, which is very disappointing. Jeff Jones, I blame Jeff Jones because Jeff Jones, he worked on Black Adam, Jeff Jones, and copy and pasting, Jeff Jones. And Jeff Jones, of course, is, one of the creators of this show, Jeff Jones. And so, like, I just gotta call it like the way it is and stuff like that. And, it frustrates me to see other stuff duplicated in this finale, and because even though I still haven't watched Black Adam, I have watched the trailer, I've watched a couple of clips from like YouTube, and you just see copy and paste, and that's kind of how it was here. This finale kind of reminded me a little bit of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I had a feeling that the battle was going to be quick and early on in the beginning, just like Deep Space Nine, and then at the end was going to be a lot of mushy stuff, just like Deep Space Nine. And the stuff with Artemis, oh, that was so cool at the end, but it reminded me yet again of stuff I've seen in other comic book stuff. I've seen that in the Daredevil movie. I've seen that in The Punisher. I've seen that someplace else. I can't remember what exactly. But it was still cool to see. It's just I've seen it in other, Blade also. Like I've just seen that so many places, And so all in all, even though I'm not too thrilled with the way it ended, I still generally do love this show. Like, I really do. I've been hard on it in season 2 and 3 only because the quality has went down, and it really has went down, especially in the terms of CGI. When you don't see that many battles through season 2 and 3, when you don't see them riding on the staff, when you don't see stripes, you can tell that their budget was slashed from that of season 1. And it's sad to see that. But, all in all, I still do like season 2. I love season 1. And season 3, now that season 3 has, ended, and with the whole murder mystery, and we know who the real bad guys are, and kind of why they did what they did, it kind of now makes sense in a whole grander scheme, which I will do a season 3 rundown review after this at some point in time. Because, now that I got my thoughts and now that I know what the whole season is about, I still have mixed feelings about this season. There's no reason for a lot of people to get sidelined. But let's actually just get into this finale for now. So, we actually get to see, what happened with Sylvester and everything in the Ultra-Humanite and Dragon King and Icicle and stuff like that. Apparently that happened 9 months ago. Now, if you do your math correctly, season 2 spanned for the duration of a month. It's funny when you look at Stargirl, season 1 to season 3 only took place within a year and a half of each other. And so, season 2 was just a month. If you go back further than that, this should take you smack dab either a month after the pilot episode in season 1 or a little bit before the pilot of season 1. So Sylvester's been alive for a very long time. So we see Dragon King experiment on him and inject him with some green goop, and that reactivated his brain. So apparently they must have lied when they said his brain wasn't functioning and stuff. And we see Icicle, and he's talking about how we're going to change this world and how you're such a great person and everybody loves you. And they'll probably even vote for you as president because he doesn't wear a mask. He did when he was a kid, but since he became an adult, Starman don't wear a mask. So people know who he is. So now this explains why he walks around town with just the staff and doesn't wear a mask. And so he tells Sylvester, you can even probably be president if you wanted to. And so he's all like, well, we're gonna change all that and everything. So basically, Icicle's gonna be running everything as what's his name's gonna be like a puppet. Now, in some ways, this kind of can contradict season 1 because it was supposed to be, Icicle being all in charge and everybody liking him. Because the thing about the Icicle dude, everybody loves this man. People around town love this man, think he's a savior and all this. Cameron loves this dude. And so when he died, the whole city was in mourning and stuff. So the whole thing about Sylvester being better than him and he's going to be the puppet head and stuff like that, the puppet figure, it kind of does contradict a little bit of what we know in season 1, but you can kind of shove it in there and let it make sense. And so, Sylvester tells him, I'll never go along with your plan, and where's Pat, and all this and that. So he tells him straight up, he's gonna remove the brains and this and that. And we see Ultra-Humanite laying on the table. And so, now this makes me wonder, since they removed the Ultra-Humanite's brain and in fact put it inside Sylvester, how in the world did the Ultra-Humanite body not decompose 9 months later? Because Dragon King didn't put his brain in there until after he died and stuff. So how did they preserve the body? Will they explain it? No, because the show's over with, so they don't explain it. And so, of course, he buried Pat and everything, and he leaves. And then we get a scene at Courtney's house, and everybody's going over, how Sylvester manipulated them and lied to them. But why would he do that? They can't figure out why. They just think something's going on with Sylvester, but they don't know what. And so, we later get the McKent's house, and so Icicle, he's manipulating Cameron, and the grandfather's all like, "Stop lying to the boy," and the grandmother's like, "You shut up, you old fool," and everything like that. They're like, they're finally gonna get their revenge. Cameron knows by now his dad is in fact evil. Cameron knows by now they're all going to manipulate the JSA and make them do what they want, and if they don't, they're gonna kill them. So Cameron knows, but he's still going along with it, and he still lies to Courtney on the phone, talking about meet them at the junkyard and everything. They found like the Ultra-Humanite or Pat or somebody they found, something like that. I will get into the whole Cameron thing later. He is the most underwhelming character in the entire series, only because they really dropped the ball with him in season 1 and 2. So now everything has to be rushed and cram, and it doesn't feel genuine and stuff. So anyways, they suit up and they go there and they start talking about how, like, I wonder if Artemis is going to show up. My mom's looking for her and everything. And they're like, Artemis always shows up at the last minute. I don't know how she does that, but she always knows when we're in trouble. And so I like that, because you got to listen to what they say in the finale, because it comes back in a way that you never think it will. And so while this going on, Cindy and the boys are running from the Ultra-Humanite / Dragon King, I guess you could say. And so they're scared, they're running, and Mike is all like, "We gotta find a way to get rid of him, and you gotta be precise," and blah 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 blah, and stuff like that. And so Ultra-Humanite's like, "Yo, daughter, I'm your dad, come work with me. If not, I'm gonna rip you to shreds," and everything. And so, like, of course she doesn't want to like go with him, she wants to fight him. But the fight between Cindy and Dragon King Ultra-Humanite, what do we call him? Dragon Humanite. Let's call him Dragon Humanite. The fight between them is very lackluster. Basically, he just smacks her around, and he puts her on the ground, and he's getting ready to rip her body in two, similar to how the Hulk did Wolverine in the comics, and also Deadpool. And so I was very disappointed in this. I wanted to see Cindy slash and gash the Ultra-Humanite's body, but of course he's super strong. So how exactly is she gonna do that? How are they gonna get rid of this gorilla dude? You know what I'm saying? And so I'm very disappointed in the battle between them, because it was nothing. He just like grabs her, throws her to the ground, and getting ready to rip her. So then Jakeem takes the pen and he makes a very odd wish that pisses off Mike. He said that he hopes that the most beautiful woman in the world will never have to be bothered by her father again. And so the genie doesn't even come out yet. And then so Mike is pissed. He's all like, "How do you know she's the most beautiful woman in the world?" And Mike used to have a crush on her in season 2 and a little bit in season 3. And then Jakeem had a crush on her a little bit in season 3. And then so like he's all like, "Because I said it, the guy with the pen." And so then the genie's all like, "Well, your wish is my command." And then so we're like, "Okay, what is he gonna do?" And Jakeem, like, he electrifies and everything. So like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? It's basically what happened in the season 2 finale. Instead of toast, he turns the Ultra-Humanite into a stuffed animal. Why did the pen turn him into a stuffed animal? And Jakeem never said turn him into a stuffed animal. I don't understand the powers of the wishes. It has never been explained. Maybe it's explained in the comics, but I don't read comics. This is why I expect the TV show to explain it to me. So now the Dragon Humanite is now no more, and he is completely defeated, turned into a stuffed animal and everything. And it's a little awkward humor moment where Cindy just kind of looks at him, and basically it's a Disney Marvel humor like type thing. And I gotta say, like, the actress who plays Cindy, I love her when she's evil, but when she plays the nice girl, it just doesn't do it for me. So then we get a scene back with Pat, and he is alive. He crawled himself out of the grave all by himself with no help from anybody. Now I know what some people are probably saying. That's impossible. There's no way to crawl yourself out of a grave. Actually, there is. And no, I'm not talking about Batman from Justice League Doom, where Batman, crawled himself out of his casket and grave and stuff like that. No, you can actually crawl out of a shallow grave or even a 6-foot grave. It just takes a lot of willpower and it's near death impossible. But there are ways to do it. Why do I say this? It's because of an article I read many years ago about a man in Africa. They thought he was dead. Apparently their burial rituals are different from us, but they just stuck him in a casket and put him in the ground. Didn't take out his organs, nothing like that. And so miraculously, he popped back alive somehow and realized he's in a box. So somehow he busted his way through the box. How? I don't know. Maybe he wasn't even in a casket. Maybe they just buried him in the ground. But he dug himself out. How shallow was his grave? That I don't know. But it is possible to, get your way out of a grave. But it is near death impossible. The chances of doing that are very slim because you have all the dirt pouring down on you and you have to breathe. It is very, 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 very impossible because you would die of suffocation and being crushed by tons of pounds of dirt. But it is nevertheless possible. It's just very, very hard. Also, there is a magic trick in which you can get yourself out of a grave. I saw it on a show I love to death one day. I'm going to talk about it, but I don't know if I will reveal the secret of how to do it, only because of the magician's code. I'm not a magician, but they don't like for their secrets to get out. But the show's been out and it reveals its secrets, so who knows? Maybe I will. I don't know. But basically, it's just a magician's trick where you're halfway covered with dirt. If you're about 4 to 3 feet filled with dirt, you can survive and crawl your way out. So maybe the dude in Africa had a shallow grave. Who knows? Anyway, he crawled himself out. He went and got Stripe, which I thought was destroyed in the last episode, but I guess not. And so he joined the fight. Now, this is interesting because, the McKents and everything, they lied to the JSA and it's all like, Pat's dead, Ultra-Humanite killed them. And they believe him to a certain degree. But Courtney doesn't really believe him. And then next thing you know, Pat shows up and he's all like, that's not really Sylvester, this and that. This pisses off the Ultra-Humanite and he blasts that Pat. So the fight is somewhat on, I'll say. Mainly it's between Pat and Sylvester. Sylvester's doing some nice twirling with the staff. I appreciate that. He's constantly blasting the Stripe suit. And so Stripe is pretty much on the ground the entire time. And then he shoots his fist at him, but basically he busted open and Pat is now out running for his life in fear. And here we have a crazed Ultra-Humanite just blasting away at Pat. And Pat's just running and dodging the blast and everything, hiding behind cars. And then I might as well get over this part. Okay, let's get through the whole Beth, the grandfather, and the grandmother, and Yolanda. So it is now time for Beth to show the team what she can do. Like she did before. She enables combat mode, but then here comes the grandfather. And Beth goes back to season 1 and a little bit of season 2 being pissed scared. And she's all like, I don't want to fight you. And he's all like, I don't want to fight you either, Beth. And so here comes the grandmother, pissed off and evil. Now, the grandmother called them a bunch of wicked kids early on. And so, like I said, pay attention to what they say because it comes back to bite them. So she tells her husband, look, you either kill her or I will kill you both. The grandmother ain't playing around. She will literally kill her husband and everything. In comes Yolanda. First, Yolanda did a really cool move where Icicle blast towards her. And she ran on a bunch of cars and she slid through the window of a car and outward. It was awesome. It was amazing. I love that choreography. But that's basically all she does. And I'm not even joking. Yolanda basically just slides through a car and that's the most of her fighting scenes. And then she's gonna go old school Yolanda and she's about to claw the face of the old woman. She jumps off a car, she's getting ready to claw the old woman, but the old woman blasts her to the point where it knocks Yolanda off her, like, as she was like descending down. Then the ice blast. No, wait, she didn't hit her because she would have turned to ice. I think she went to go blast Yolanda. Maybe she hit her a little, but Yolanda got out the way, fell on the ground next to Beth and the old man. The ice blast hits the side of a car that's on top of another car, and the car comes crashing down on the grandmother, and all you see is her feet, reminiscent to the Wizard of Oz and the evil witch and everything. And it's funny because she called the kids, "You wicked kids." See, you gotta pay attention to what they say. So grandmother is dead. Beth doesn't even throw a single punch or do anything. Grandfather is okay. And Yolanda didn't fight nobody in the freaking finale. And that pisses me off because Yolanda is one of the best fighters of the show and has one of the best choreographies. And all she did was slid through that of a car. I kid you not. I kid you not. That pisses me off. And Beth now has combat mode from that previous episode. So why didn't they use it here? And I'm thinking to myself, that would have been great for her to use combat mode, but they didn't. And Rick is no different. Rick just punches Icicle once. And then after that, he's getting ready to pound on Cameron, but his head is still hurting from the withdrawals of the hourglass. And so like, I'm not even sure he put the limiter back on or not. He's not enraged and he knows better not to use it. So he must have put the limiter back on in that very brief time he was at Courtney's house. But he can't use the limiter. I doubt he keeps the limiter on him in his pocket. So it would have to be at his place. So how did he get the limiter and put, what they don't explain, and I don't got time to even try to figure it out. But he punches Icicle once, like a double punch, and then he's getting ready to pound on Cameron, but his head hurts, and both Cameron and his father blast Rick. And that is the end of Rick, fighting wise, that is. Rick doesn't do no more. Rick is just on the ground and is hurting. I don't understand. The strongest person on the team always gets nerfed in a battle. How is that possible? So here comes Icicle. He's pissed. He's wanting to kill everybody. And so next thing you know, he gets shot in near the chest towards the shoulder by an green arrow. And I'm thinking to myself, when did Oliver show up? I'm like, oh no, wait, the crossbow. Artemis, that must be her. Nope. It's Courtney's mom with the crossbow doing what Tigress taught her and everything. So she finally used the crossbow. Why is the mom in the final battle? I have no idea. She has no business even being near the final battle. Like, she doesn't. This could have been time for Artemis to shine. Artemis does not show up in the final battle, but Artemis will get some payback towards the end. Stay tuned. So then they pulled a kingpin. Basically, Icicle just rips the arrow from his body, which you're not supposed to do. And he's getting ready to hurt everybody. Basic kingpin from the Hawkeye series. Why do I say you're not supposed to pull the arrow out? Well, if it has an arrowhead, you can do more damage to yourself than when you rip it out. They suggest you push it on. Well, first you have to break off the end, like, the feather part, and then you push it on through so it can pass through your organs and come out the other end of your body, similar to that of a bullet. Because if you start digging around and pulling it out, it's terrible. However, people don't really use arrowheads no more. So maybe you can just pull it out and you'll be fine and everything. But then, that's all the medical stuff I know. So he's getting ready to kill everybody, and as I predicted in my head, because I didn't want to make a theory video on the finale, but in my head, I figured Cameron was never going to truly be evil. He has barely done anything in the entire series. He's been a nice guy the entire series. I knew he wasn't going to go full evil, so of course he turns on his father. So it's the two Icicles. They're about to go head to head. It's going to be epic, right? Nope. See, I wanted to see those two blast the crap out of each other. But you know what we get? We get a corner fight scene. What do I mean by that? Well, the main part of the screen is Courtney, her mom, trying to get Rick out of harm's way. And in the corner pocket, we see older Icicle blast that of younger Icicle, just for younger Icicle to do his little break dancing moves that he did in that other fight. I still don't know how he's able to do that. Who taught him hand-to-hand combat like that? It's like the whole Cisco thing. Back when I used to watch The Flash, I stopped by season 4. Sometime in season 2, I think it was, maybe 1, the Pied Piper was going to attack Cisco. Next thing you know, Cisco starts breaking down some moves, very hand-to-hand combat and break dancing wise. And I asked myself, how does that nerd know how to do that? Well, you really don't see him fight hand-to-hand no more after that. And it's the same way with Cameron. They just wanted to make him look flashy. But other than that, we never get to see a battle between those two. And so Courtney is all like, I don't understand. Why is the staff doing everything like Sylvester wants, but it won't even come to me? And then her mom gives her some motherly advice. I don't mind if her mom gives her motherly advice, but how the heck did her mom even know this? Her mom tells her, it's because you told the staff to do that. And Courtney's like, oh, so you mean to tell me this entire time? The reason why the Ultra-Humanite was able to level up towards the end with the staff and let it obey him and not Courtney, all because Courtney told her little puppy of a staff, hey, you're Sylvester, like hang out with him now and everything. I don't buy that for not 1 second. That was very rushed writing. But it kind of makes sense that of season 2 finale, because if you look at season 2 finale, I don't think Sylvester ever held the staff without Courtney holding on to it. So he didn't have full control of the staff because it belongs to Courtney now. And Courtney has literally told the staff, you know, like during the day, you're Sylvester's, and during the night, you're mine. But then, you know, that was early in the season when she told the staff that. But then towards the but then we see Sylvester with the staff at night, and the staff isn't supposed to do that. Sylvester Ultra-Humanite is literally controlling the staff all throughout the season, even when Courtney is not there, and at night when he's not supposed to have it, like when he got attacked by Dragon King Ultra-Humanite. And so then in the episode prior, we literally see him take the staff from Courtney, and it no longer obeys her, and he gives it orders. Now all of a sudden, the whole thing is, oh, he can only use it because she told him to. So what does she tell him? She's like, hey, staff, don't let him use you no more. Some crap like that. And then she takes it, or then he tries to swing at her, and she grabs onto it. It illuminates again. She takes it back. And I think she might blast him, might not. She starts leveling up where she just hits the ground and everything goes all cool CGI and everything, right? And so then next thing you know, Sylvester, Ultra-Humanite, and Pat grabs a giant boulder and busts him straight in the face, knocking him out. So now he's out for the count. And now it's the two icicles going again. And I think Courtney breaks that up with the staff. And so, of course, Icicle ain't gonna let them just get away. And so Cameron, he decides, no, this is over and everything. And Cameron just blasts his dad big time with ice particles. And then there's like a huge explosion of ice, but all we see is ice, dust, and mist. And we see Icicle's face in like smoke. I'm like, no, in a weird kind of CGI kind of way. It was cool, but it doesn't explain much. So I assume, boom, Icicle is gone for good, because he's not crumbled up in a bunch of like ice cubes. Instead, he's just like, you know, dust. And I thought to myself, well, maybe if he's dust, there's no way he can reform himself and everything. So Cameron pretty much tells Courtney, look, we're done. You stay away from me. My grandmother is dead. My dad is like, whatever. I'm taking my grandfather and we're leaving and everything. And he leaves her, breaking her heart. And I'm like, thank God, because I never liked that relationship. It was beyond forced. They don't really have no chemistry between each other because he's barely in the show. And so now we get everything tied up in a nice little bow. We get Rick talking to Beth's parents and apologizing for how he talked to him, but then he makes Beth also, like, apologize to her family and talking about, I'm sorry I pushed y'all away and I want y'all here. And they're like, ooh, as your sidekicks? And they're like, yo, we got like a lot of ideas and everything, especially about a new suit. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I'll get down in the rundown review how I feel about all this, because it's very, very, very rushed. And then we get a scene of them at Courtney's house and the whole family's there, and Beth's parents all like, we could be your sidekicks. I mean, I can call ourselves this and that. Now, in the comics, I think that does happen, but we never got to see that materialize on the show, which would have been cool and would have helped season 3 out a whole lot more and show how they get on her nerves and stuff. So like I said before, I'll get down the rundown review about that, because I got a lot of mixed feelings about that entire brief story arc. And so Yolanda, well, I'll get to her later. So Mike has finally met his mom. Pat has arranged it. And Alicia Witt, I think that's her name, she cameo. And yes, it is a cameo. So we see them in the diner. We see them through the window. We never get to hear the conversation that they have. And then next thing you know, she hugs her son and he goes out to Pat and he's all like, thanks, Dad, I really needed this. And he calls, Courtney's mom. I'm disappointed in this scene for a couple of reasons. One, I like Alicia Witt. She was an urban legend. She's really good in that. I saw her in a Lifetime movie. She's really good in that. I also saw her in The Walking Dead. She's really good in that. She deserved to at least say one little thing in this thing instead of letting it be a cameo. Now, the scene where we see them through the window, that was nice and touching. But it would have been nice to know what they talked about. So you gotta remember, she used to be a terrible person who has supposedly turned her life around. Supposedly. We don't really know because we never really get much from her. So it would have been nice to actually hear something come from them and at least see Mike be kind of like, where were you? Like, another woman has literally raised me and you were never there and blah, blah, blah and stuff like that. That would have gave so much a dramatic impact. And I'm shocked because the CW and Craig Berlanti know how to do drama. So I'm surprised they dropped the ball on this, trying to be very poetic and artsy with the way they did it. And so then we get Yolanda. She calls her mom crying, talking about, yeah, I have lied to you. And, but the telling the truth had brought everybody else closer to their parents. And she wants to work out her relationship with her mom. We hear her mom voice, we don't see her mom. Yolanda's mom is crappy. Everybody hates Yolanda's mom. This should have been something face to face, you know what I'm saying? And it should have been a dramatic moment, because Yolanda's mother just does not care for Yolanda, except for in season 2, which was very shocking. And I feel like that whole storyline was just not done properly. But like I said before, I will get into that in the rundown review, because I have a lot of mixed feelings when it comes to the trio in terms of, like, how their stories were handled in season 3. Then we get something with Cindy where she just walks around and she has that stuffed animal, and that's just basically it. And so then we get a scene, interestingly, with that of Sylvester's body. That the Midnighter shows back up. And I think that is him, I believe. It's been actually, I just watched it, so I think it is him. My mind's a little crazy right now because I've been watching a lot of stuff. Like Doom Patrol. Yeah, Doom Patrol. And so, like, he basically said, okay, fine, body's fine, but the brain is brain dead. I'm thinking to myself, so you mean to tell me that Pat hit him so freaking hard with that boulder in the face, not so much in the head, but in the face, and it made him brain dead? maybe from the brain swapping and reattaching nerve endings and stuff like that, or whatever the brain's attached to. But maybe like the stem and everything, the brain stem, like maybe that could cause it, all that crazy scientific like surgery stuff and then hitting him in the head, maybe that caused some brain damage. I don't know, that was kind of like a weak thing. And so they're all like, we're just gonna leave him like this because we might need the body or something like that. And then we get to see a very interesting scene. Sylvester's real brain is still alive back in the laboratory, and he's in the jar and he's hooked up to a voice box, and he keeps saying the same thing over and over. Where's Pat? Where's everybody else? No. And he just does that over and over. And I thought they were just gonna leave it like that and not explain nothing, which they kind of did and everything. And so I was very shocked by that. I'm just like, they're not gonna leave us hanging. They're supposed to tie up loose ends, remember? Well, now let's get to something that I did not see coming. I've been wondering for the longest time, where is Artemis? I'm very shocked she's not an official member of the team because she wanted to be one so bad early on. And so we see Icicle alive. A couple of months have now passed, about 3. And so I'm all like, dude, how is he still alive? I guess this dude is like immortal, right? And then he's walking and all of a sudden his feet get stuck on something, kind of like fly paper. I'm like, oh no, something's gonna happen. It's Artemis coming out the shadows and all like, that sticky stuff you're on, my parents created that. And it burns through anything, even water. So she sets it ablaze. I'm thinking to myself, oh wait, he has to be dead now. Because not only is that gonna burn his flesh, but even if he was to turn into ice, it will burn through water. So he is now permanently dead. And that scene was just awesome and everything. It was just so amazing. My only problem with it, I've seen this done a million times before in other medium and everything. But it was still cool nevertheless. So she straight up murdered him. And what she does after that, we don't know. And so then we get an interesting scene with Courtney. She has tracked down the gambler's daughter. I have forgotten all about that girl. She's all grown up and Courtney gives her the gambler's letter. Personally, this should have been done very, very early on in this season. So I don't understand that part. But don't worry, we get another Courtney part. She's so sad. She misses some Cameron. So she goes to the old Marquette's house. And then all of a sudden, it starts snowing. I'm like, oh no, crap. You ain't gonna do this crap, are you? How did he even know she would be there? Cameron shows up. And him and her embrace. And they give each other not a kiss, but a hug. A very, very, very embraceful hug. Not a kiss, but a hug. If these two care about each other so much, why didn't they kiss while the snow is falling down? That would have been more romantic, but they embraced each other in a nice little hug. And I'm just like, I hate this relationship so much. It should have never happened. There was no chemistry between the two. He was barely on the show. He just doesn't fit with the rest of the cast because he's just so out there, he's barely in the show. I will get more down to his character in the rundown review because I don't understand what the writers were ever doing with him. And then 10 years from now, we get an interesting scene. I have mixed feelings about this scene. Like I said before, I've seen it before. And not only that, I would have liked to see what happened, not hear what happened. And so we get an odd scene with the Shade. He has now reappeared. And the JSA headquarters is now a museum. And everything is there. And everything from Sir Knight's sword to Thunderbolt's pen to basically everything we can have. Even Courtney put the staff back in the crate when she was at her house. And so we see all the portraits of the younger JSA members and stuff, the actual cast. And we get him basically giving a tour to all these people in the museum, talking about what has happened in the past 10 years. Cindy has now become Dragon Queen. Rick and Beth got married and everything. And I always knew those two would get together. I've been wanting to see those two in a relationship, but the writers dropped the ball big time on them. I will go back into the rundown review and explain more how I feel about that later on. But those two get married, and then he explains, the JSA fought for many years, and like he even name drops a bunch of Easter eggs. The kids of the original JSA, they have now joined and everything. Jenny and her brother, they've joined, and all this other stuff, and so he just talks about like, the good times that they had and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, this would have been so much more effective if they would have actually showed it, like showed like a montage of what they did, how they, interacted with the rest of the kids and everything and all this other stuff. But they did not do that. Also, it would have been nice to see them older, 10 years and stuff. And they dropped the ball, in my opinion, on that. I did not want to hear it. I want to see it. And if you're one of those people who say showing is better than telling, then you should not be okay with this scene. And, because why on earth is he the one explaining everything and not somebody actually from the actual JSA? Because he's not even part of the JSA. He's just still doing his own individual nice thing. And so, like, what is it? So with all the Easter eggs names that they drop, I don't even know none of those people because I don't read comics. Now, in the past, I used to love Easter eggs and stuff until Marvel ruined that. Marvel has Easter eggs every 5 freaking minutes in their movies to where everybody has Easter egg fatigue now. So these Easter egg drops and names just didn't do it for me. And also, I'm just kind of like, why has the JSA given up? Why is all this stuff in a museum? Why have they all quit and lived normal lives? Now, that don't make no sense. Then we get the cameo of cameos. We get the Flash, Jay Garrett. And some people are trying to say that this is the Jay Garrett from the Flash television show. It can't be. That dude died in Crisis. But he's wearing the exact same suit. And so he's there and he's all like, hey, man, this bad guy is doing something and the JSA is reforming back up and they want you to join and everything. And then it ends. I'm like, dude, you kidding me? We don't even get a final scene with the actual JSA, the actual cast. We get to see these two dudes who's barely been in the show. And where has the Flash been this entire time? Why has he never joined up with the team? And so I don't like that at all. That ending reminds me of the Star Trek Enterprise ending where we get the TNG crew members talking about everything that happened on Star Trek Enterprise and everything was a holodeck and this and that. That's what that felt like to me, and I feel like it robs that from the main cast. We could have seen picture clips of them doing everything they said they was doing. Just something. Oh, and also Jakeem has now become Jakeem Thunder. Totally wasted his character in the entire show. I will get into this more in the rundown review. So when it comes to finale, it ain't perfect, but it is good, but it does frustrate me. I don't like seeing stuff copied and paste. I would have liked to seen things instead of hearing things. Oh, and they talked about how they found Sylvester's brain and put it back in his body. And so now he's back as Starman. And I'm just like, really? We couldn't see that? We couldn't see them, that big emotional thing with the Pat and Sylvester reuniting finally for the first time. Like, we didn't get to see that. Like, we had to be told that. And so, like, and also about best parents being her sidekicks. And, it's just, I don't know what they talk about Yolanda. I don't even know if they mentioned Yolanda or not. And I'm just kind of like, I would have appreciated if we saw that and did not hear that. Why didn't they film that? Don't know. Did they run out of money? Don't know. Oh, I forgot to mention, back when everybody was getting their happy ending, I forgot to mention Rick. He goes back to Grundy's grave. And next thing you know, Solomon sticks out his hand from the grave. And Rick is all happy, calling him his buddy and everything, which is still a strange relationship. And they didn't show Grundy's body or face because they don't have the CGI for it. And so I'm just kind of like, they could have just left that alone, in my opinion. But no, everybody had to have a nice little ending. So all in all, with this finale, it was just everything wrapped up in a nice bow, but there was really no stakes. Like when you thought Cameron got rid of his father, no, he was still alive, only to be killed by Artemis. When Cameron told Courtney, yo, it's over, you leave me alone, you think, okay, good, he's standing his ground, but no, he goes back to her. And so, not everything has to be wrapped in a nice bow. Sometimes there should be sadness. Sometimes there should be stakes. I don't know what the world is going on in the comic book world, but nothing has stakes anymore, especially because people just keep popping back alive now. And so, yeah, that's just it. So, like I said, in my opinion, it wasn't perfect, but it was decent and pretty good. It's just, I don't understand why they couldn't do more in the finale. Why couldn't there have been a bigger battle? Why did the other members get so sidelined in this last episode when season 2 finale was good and really great and season 1 finale was phenomenal and everything? I just think they're dropping the ball. Jeff Jones is working on another project, so he can probably care less about this. And, I don't like Jeff Jones. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.